Melania Trump. You've seen her maybe in some of these social media videos. She has a new book coming out in a couple weeks, kind of sharing her experience as First Lady. She did an interview. She sat down this morning with Fox and Friends and did not hold back when speaking about what it's been like for her husband, for her son, her family, and got into politics as well, something she doesn't usually do as direct.
This was in response to how the country has reacted and the issue of the attempted assassinations on her husband, former President Donald Trump. And she didn't hold back when it came to criticism about how we got here.
Is it really shocking that all this egregious violence goes against my husband? Especially that we hear the leaders from the opposition party and mainstream media branding him as a threat to democracy, calling him vile names. They only fueling a toxic atmosphere and giving power all of these people that they want to do harm to him. This needs to stop. This needs to stop. The country needs to unite.
The cabinet secretary, the Secretary of Commerce for Biden-Harris, this is, again, supposedly, Joe Biden, the president, called President Trump both times. The first time after he was shot, and the second time when the shooter was apprehended right before he was about to be in harm's way. And you would think that if the president knew to try to play that niceties behind the scenes, that it wouldn't mean that politically they're going to say, obviously switch to say now President Trump should win. But maybe you'd call your Secretary of Commerce after a Sunday morning show interview, which those Secretaries of Commerce don't get to do a ton of. And when she called for the former President of the United States, President Trump, and his ideology, so then I guess all of us that have voted for him and all of you, I guess, that have probably voted for him as well, to be extinguished. And then we're talking about things like Israel and the these issues, extinguishing Americans because of their views. The fact that the family, when President Trump, went to the convention and then went back on the campaign trail, start doing more outdoor events, rallied behind him as well. And we've seen the Republicans do that as well, and leaders do that as well, knowing that you've got these threats. But even then on a golf course, we find out. So nowhere safe. And that's true for most presidents and former presidents to some extent. But I think we want to remind you, right? I mean, well, this goes back to a time when he was no longer president, but Iran, which is still seething over the move that the Trump administration made to take out a terrorist leader, Soleimani, the head of the Revolutionary Guard, when he was outside of Iran, and he landed near a U.S. base, actually, in Iraq, so which was kind of like landing in a war area, where he tries to kill and has killed, organized the killing of U.S. troops. So he's got U.S. blood on his hands, not just blood on his hands from his other acts of terrorism that they support. And of course, there's the fatwa put out. We know that about our own Mike Pompeo, and of course, President Trump and some others. And then they produced this video that I want to play for folks because it's eerily, because this is from 2022, eerily similar to that event that almost occurred on the golf course.
This was posted to the Ayatollah's official website back in 2022. It's since resurfaced. A lot of news organizations have picked up on this. Donald Trump Jr. actually tweeted it out as well. But this wasn't like an after the event happened, Iran made a video real quick and put it up. This is 2 years ago when this video was produced by the Iranian government as a propaganda piece. And we'll talk over it as we show it. But, and Jordan, I know you want to say something before we play it, but we'll talk over it because if you're listening on radio, we'll describe what you're seeing. But it is shocking what you're watching unfold.
We know that the reason why they use this visual, if you remember during President Trump's presidency, there was an area, and it was the same area that was exposed this time, on a very small area of that golf course where you could get a line of sight on whoever was there, briefly, very briefly. And they've tried to protect that area, but obviously they haven't done a good enough job of doing that. So the Secret Service and other law enforcement agencies have seen this kind of imagery and the location itself as a problem for years. Remember that. This wasn't just on that day they've said, oh, no, this was a problem. They've known about it for years, and so has Iran. So when you see the video, let's start playing it for folks who are, again, so you're seeing basically is like a drone image over Mar-a-Lago right now. Of course, people can figure out that. These are the places so you can see. There were areas like that. It was one tee box where you could, which you're only on for a few minutes, and they have this special drone. Now, this I don't know if Iran actually has or not. I'm probably a little dreaming there. But basically there to go in and what? To kill the president or former president of the United States at the time and the former Secretary of State. And this is the kind of videos they put out. We also see these real and specific threats confirmed by the White House office, the Director of National Intelligence, has confirmed to the media that President Trump was correct when he tweeted out a couple of days ago that have been these real credible threats that Iran continues to try and assassinate him, to make good on their fatwa. And yet this administration gave billions to Iran, and now it's posing a real threat to our former leaders and current candidates.
And again, this is an area where we should not be surprised, and it also points to the reality of the failures of Vice President Harris and President Biden in their foreign policy. We should not be surprised that Iran wants to take out President Trump. We should not be surprised that cartels who are trafficking in humans and in drugs across Kamala Harris's open borders have a target on President Trump's back. We should not be surprised that these powerful countries and entities and interests who are profiting off of and benefiting from the Harris-Biden administration's policies, they see President Trump as the greatest threat to their power, to their strength, and to their existence. And once again, this goes back to why is it then, knowing this to be true, that President Biden and Vice President Harris have had a direct role in denying increased security for President Trump. This is a reflection on them. Again, they put their interests and their power ahead of everything else. And when we're making our decisions in this election about whose leadership we want and we need in our country going forward, President Trump's record speaks for itself. Iran was drained of resources and weakened, unable to continue growing their nuclear weapon capability, unable to continue providing the kind of bolstered support to terrorist groups like Hamas and Hezbollah that we've seen them do over these last 4 years. It's no wonder they want to take him out, because under Kamala Harris, they know that if she's elected president, they will get richer, stronger. They will increase their ability to threaten Israel and the United States and the world, and they will continue to support terrorist organizations. That's the world that we will live in under Kamala Harris, and you don't have to take my word for it. We can look at the last 4 years to know that that's true.